I don't think it's as popular as he thinks it is. I think it's a good talking point for his hard right base. But let me just give you two statistics. When the department was created, only 16% of people were graduating with college degrees. Only 61% were even graduating from high school. Today, 91% graduate from high school and 38% have college degrees.
Donald Trump, the President of the United States, has begun dismantling the U.S. Department of Education, following through on a 2024 campaign trail promise. Trump has long called for the department to be axed and signed an executive order instructing the Education Secretary Linda McMahon to begin the process earlier today.
We're going to shut it down and shut it down as quickly as possible. It's doing us no good. We want to return our students to the states where just some of the governors here are so happy about this. They want education to come back to them, to come back to the states, and they're going to do a phenomenal job.
Okay, that was the president speaking earlier today, but he may face challenges in this move, however, as completely shuttering the Department of Education would require congressional approval. Let's speak to Peter Cunningham, who was Assistant Secretary for Communications and Outreach in the U.S. Department of Education under President Obama. Peter, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. Now, as a former senior official in the department, what did you think when you saw President Trump surrounded by school children signing an order to, quote, eliminate the Department of Education that was brought into being by former President Carter?
I think that, like everything else he does, he's doing it recklessly, thoughtlessly. I don't think he has any idea of the consequences. No one else does. He's just trying to, send a message to his political base that he's serious about, wrecking the furniture and just, disrupting everything. I don't think he has any idea what it's doing, and I think it raises a basic question, which is education for America a matter of national interest?
Hang on, Peter. Republicans have long wanted to do this. They've planned it. Project 2025, of course, thought about it. Of course, it was part of the whole package. So why do you call it reckless? Why do you think it's ill thought out?
Well, I mean, if you look at the history, I mean, every president since Eisenhower has embraced education and a federal role, a very limited federal role. 90% of the funding still comes at the state level. The states set the standards. The states hire and train the teachers. They choose the curriculum. They do everything. So this whole idea that he's sending it back to the states is silly. He's not sending anything back. It's already back there. But, whether it was Reagan who released a major report on education or both of the Bushes who advanced the whole conversation about high standards and accountability, Republicans have understood that this was a matter of national interest. Today, 3 out of 4 people get rejected by the U.S. Army, mostly because of education. Today, we have a shortage of doctors and nurses. Today, we have tech companies all recruiting from South Asia and other places because they can't find the talent they need. These are all issues that should be solved by education. So it is a matter of national interest, and yet he's insisting that somehow if he just sends it back to the states where it already is, it's going to get better. There's no reason to believe that.
So why do you think it will get worse? I mean, the states already provide 90% of the funding to educational establishments. So what do you think will be the consequence of this executive order if Congress passes it?
Right. So all of those funds that education disperses are intended for distinct populations of students that are vulnerable: low-income kids, students with special needs, homeless children, rural children, bilingual children, and, low-income adults who want to go to college. So if he just puts all that money in a package and says, here, do what you want with it, and he's very explicitly telling them to go ahead and use it to send kids to private schools, that's just going to weaken the public school system. It's going to pull dollars out of the public school system, and it's not going to help those vulnerable populations. They're the ones who will be left behind. So I can't see how it's going to get better in any way.
And presumably some of those vulnerable populations would include lower income Trump voters in red states.
Correct. A lot of them do. In fact, the red states are more dependent on federal funding than the blue states by and large. New York gets only 7% of its funds from the federal government, whereas Mississippi gets 23%. And most of the states that get most of their funding from the federal government are red states. So his voters are going to wake up to this. And by the way, vouchers are not popular in these red states. Two red states rejected vouchers in the last election, Kentucky and Nebraska. Texas has resisted them. And in rural America, there are no private schools, so vouchers are not an option for most people. So I think they're going to push back pretty hard on them. And by the way, this whole move is not popular. He keeps on insisting this is what Republicans want. But 2/3 of America does not want this. The polls are very clear about that.
Yeah. This education department was brought into being by President Carter. Trump claims that results have gone backwards since then. Now, you used to be a comms secretary for the Department of Education. Why do you think it is, in some areas, so unpopular that Trump thought, I can get votes by pledging to abolish it?
Well, like I said, I don't think it's as popular as he thinks it is. I think it's a good talking point for his hard right base. But let me just give you two statistics. When the department was created, only 16% of people were graduating with college degrees. Only 61% were even graduating from high school. Today, 91% graduate from high school and 38% have college degrees. So things have gotten a lot better. The student population has gotten poorer. So today it's well over half are free and reduced price lunch, which means they're low income. There's more bilingual students. There's more special needs students. So to compare today's test scores to 20 years ago is kind of irrelevant. You have a different student body. It's changed a lot. And the bottom line is to even blame the federal government, which is only 10% of the funding and has very little control of what happens in the classroom. Why are you blaming the federal government? Blame the state government, blame the local districts, which have the majority of the funding and make all of the decisions. The federal government really just sends money in and they protect vulnerable students.
In a word, do you reckon Congress will pass this or approve it?
I doubt it.
Yeah.
I'll be very surprised if they do. He'll need at least 6 or 7 Democratic senators, and I don't think he'll get them.
All right.
I'm not sure he's even going to get all the Republican ones, to be honest.
Sure.
Once people really hear about what this is.
Indeed. Peter Cunningham, former Assistant Secretary for Communications and Outreach in the U.S. Department of Education. Thank you very much indeed. Keith asks whether they are going to be teaching the kids Trump's alternative facts now, making North America more like North Korea, he says, in puzzlement.
Beyond these core necessities, my administration will take all lawful steps to shut down the department. We're going to shut it down and shut it down as quickly as possible. It's doing us no good. We want to return our students to the states where just some of the governors here are so happy about this. They want education to come back to them, to come back to the states, and they're going to do a phenomenal job. Should I do this? Do it? I think so. We have pens for you too, special pens. I'll take this one. I had one pen.